Alright guys, I've had a lot of requests to see the entire car here. This is my 1963 Ford 300. The 300 is basically a base level Galaxie. It was below a Galaxie. As you can see, it has no side trim. They only came with these badges right here on the side. It said Ford 300. Mine's actually missing the little insert that goes inside there. They also came with the standard chrome on the C-pillars here. But that's about all you got. You got chrome bumpers, the C-pillar chrome, and this panel down here on the rocker is not original to a 300. I think this car might have had some rust that somebody covered up at some point with one that with a piece of stainless that came from a Galaxie 500. Which I think looks fine anyways. I kind of like having the chrome down there. Anyway, side mirrors were an option. I don't think mine are in the correct location, but they work well enough. We'll open the door here. As you can see, pretty bare bones inside. Really pretty interior. Real big back seat. They did not come with a clock or radio from the factory. You had to special order that if you wanted one. I've added these gauge clusters down here. It's got water temperature, oil pressure, and battery, which I have not gotten a chance to hook up the amperage gauge. And I got a small little tachometer down here. As you can see, it's a 3 on the tree, 3-speed column shift. It's got a Ford 303 top loader in it. Original instrument cluster. Very pretty headliner, a new dome light. Pretty much the entire interior has been redone. It's got the correct open loop pile carpet. My floor mats are just there because I daily drive this car. Got to keep the dirt off of there somehow. Doors shut real nice on this car. They also came with the poverty caps from the factory. These are actually pretty hard to find in good condition. This is actually original paint in here. They sell a decal kit to redo these because a lot of the R-code big block Galaxies came with this type of wheel cover, and a lot of times, actually most of the time, the paint is chipped or missing on those, but mine are in really nice shape. I found those after the fact. So here's the motor on this car. This is the 223 cubic inch mileage maker 6. The sticker is actually incorrect for a 63. That would have been on about a 54 to 56 Ford, probably a Mainline or a Courier or a Fairlane or something like that. But I thought it looked kind of cool and added a little bit of humor to the setup that I've got. So this motor has been completely rebuilt. It has entirely new hardware throughout. We used ARP head bolts, as you can see there. It's got ARP bottom end bolts, so that would be studs, connecting rod studs and nuts, main studs and nuts. We had to actually custom size the hardware for the rods. Rods have been lightened and shot peened. The head's been shaved 30 thousandths. I think I'm going to take the head off this winter and actually shave it a little bit more. Probably try to get it to around 60 thousandths taken off there so I can bump my compression up. The overflow tank here is original. I restored that. It's got currently it has a 1969 Ford 300 distributor. I don't know if we can get down here and see this. It looks very close to the original distributor, which is why I got it. The original distributor on these was a vacuum advance only distributor, so it had no mechanical advance, which means it relied entirely on ported vacuum at your carburetor to advance the timing, the ignition timing, that is. So I switched over to the 300 inline 6 distributor, which drops right into place. You do have to bore out your stock timing gear on the distributor in order to fit the 300 distributor, and you also have to either make an adapter shaft or go to a 5/16 inch drive shaft for the oil pump and go to a 1964 5/16 inch oil pump for this motor, which is what I did. I currently have a Pertronix Igniter 2 ignition setup underneath the cap here. It's pretty simple. I love how simple these cars are to work on. You see the Pertronix under the cap there. Currently my vacuum advance is not hooked up. I'm running entirely static timing. I have, I think we ended up at 28 degrees of initial timing, and then I'm about 38 degrees all in, and we set this up on a dyno. We were monitoring the air-fuel mixture and monitoring the motor to make sure there was no detonation there. Has stock fuel pump, which is more than adequate to keep up with the twin carburetors. The carburetors are Weber 3838 DG-AS, I believe. They have the electric chokes. Although the chokes are not hooked up, I actually rarely ever have to choke this car. Of course, I don't drive it much in cold weather. It has a Clifford 6=8 intake manifold. It's a very pretty piece of work here. You can see the 6=8 trademark there. And then it also has Clifford split headers. You can see this does have true dual exhaust on here. You got one going this side and one going this side. Both my downspouts on the or downpipes on the headers are tapped for O2 sensors for getting my carburetors properly tuned. You can see this pipe here. We'll climb under the car so you can see it. There's your exhaust pipe for the passenger side. Wraps all the way under here. Goes up over the frame rail, then exits right there. You can see both exhaust pipes there. The exhaust shop guy was pretty proud of himself when he did that. That piece is made entirely out of one piece. He bent all of that with one piece. He's a pretty good exhaust guy. Trying to think what else we need to talk about here. We've got the fuel pressure regulator right here, which is set to 2.5 pounds per carburetor, which is necessary for Webers to make sure that you don't overflow the bowls on them. I've done a GM 12SI 3-wire alternator conversion here. I still need to kind of clean up my wiring harness here, but have it hooked up temporarily and it works great. Had to buy a bracket right here to convert it from the original generator, because in 1963 you only got a generator. I think maybe the trucks got a the trucks had an alternator option, but I don't think that it was very common. So good luck trying to find an alternator bracket for a 223 inline 6 for a Galaxie. It's not going to happen. So anyway, so I did a little bit of creative fabricating here to get this to work, and the bracket here that I bought I think is a universal kit that I modified. I believe that some for the Ford 6000 tractors will also work, because they use the same motor in the gas version of those. So, and then here's our driver's side. And if you guys have checked out the cold start video, you'll know that, or you will have already seen the back end of it and heard how she runs. This motor does have solid lifters. I've got a Schneider racing cam in here. It's a 264F with comp cams, lifters, and then stock push rods. We got TRW new old stock ratio rockers at least. The valves in the motor are small block Chevy stainless swirl tip undercut valves with 191 intake and 168 exhaust, and then we use 351W Ford, V8 springs, clips, and retainers. We had to do some modifying and resizing to get everything to fit. We hogged out the bowls behind the valves, and we did some port cleanup and then a 3-angle valve job. Again, I'm probably going to do a little bit more port work to it this winter time. But anyway, it's got a lot of low end torque. The torque curve is perfectly flat. Comes in at about 800 RPM. Doesn't stop until about 5,500 RPM. So it's got plenty of pull throughout the whole RPM range. Just a pleasure to drive on the road. Pleasure to drive around town. Don't really want to drive it on the highway too much for long extended periods of time over 65 miles an hour, because it does have 355 rear end gears, and so it's running about right around 2,800 to 3,000 RPM at 70 to 75 miles an hour. So not really the best speed for hours on end for an antique motor, but at some point I might swap a T5 in here. It'd be kind of neat. Anyways, so that is my car. My other passion, if for anybody else that knows me, is vintage stereo equipment. So when I'm not doing that stuff, I'm working on my car. Feel free to like and subscribe to my videos, and if there's anything else you want to see on this car, just let me know and I'll try to do a video.